you doing, dessert junkies? I hope you're well. I hope your week is going super well. Now, of course, it's getting close to Easter, and of course, what is Easter famous for? Chocolate and hot cross buns. So this week, I'm going to show you how to make your very own hot cross buns. You can put whatever filling you like in them. They are made to whatever you want. So this is my hot cross buns.
Okay, dessert junkies, to get started we need our yeasty milky mixture. So here we've got some warm milk that I have nuked in the microwave for about 10 seconds so it's nice and warm. I can put my finger in it, not feel it burn. Then I'm going to add in my caster sugar, and then I'm going to add in 2 packets of dried yeast. Here in Australia, dried yeast is around 7 grams a packet, so I've got 14 grams. So you may have to adjust that depending on what the dried yeast is available in where you live. Then you want to essentially put in that yeast and give it a bit of swizzle so it all combines. And then you want to be able to essentially let this sit and start to rise and ferment and become yeasty goodness. So cover it with some cling film, punch some holes in there so that it does vent, and pop it in a nice warm spot for around 10 to 15 minutes. Into our bowl, then we've got our self-raising flour. I'm going to add mixed spice, cinnamon, and some salt. And I'm going to whack this into my self-raising flour that I have sifted. So important you sift your flour, guys, to get rid of the lumps and bumps. And just give it a bit of a mix around, so make sure you get all that spice lovely mixed in the flour. Then we've got our butter. Now this should be cold butter. As you can see, it was cold and slippery. And you want to essentially get this into fine breadcrumbs by rubbing it in between your fingers. The heat of your fingers will start to melt the butter, and that should be nice and fine into your flour. Now, spice, flavorings, sultanas. Here I've got some sultanas, some figs, some dates. I'm also going to add in those cranberries or craisins, dried those, and I'm also going to add in some chocolate chips. Essentially, you want this part of the filling to be around 250 grams. So if you want more sultanas, add sultanas. If you want more chocolate, add chocolate. If you want mixed peel, go for it. Essentially, this is your flavoring for your hot cross bun. 250 grams, do whatever you want. That's what I wanted to do. Once you've got that combined, then it's time to add in 2 eggs, which are at room temperature. Always important to add things at room temperature because you don't want to put cold things into a hot oven. It's like, you going out into the cold. Ugh. Then our yeast milky mixture. By now, it should have all fermented up and it sort of smells like beer. That's really the best way I can sum it up. It'll be lovely and fluffy. Pour that in, mix well. And essentially then you'll start getting a dough, and your dough should start coming away from the sides of your bowl. Then it's time to knead. So once that does come out in, dough form, you want to pop it onto a floured surface and you want to start kneading this for 5 minutes. So how do you knead? Essentially you are squishing, folding, squishing, folding. You want to repeat that for at least 5. You'll find over time that it'll stop sticking to the bench. It'll hold itself, it'll hold its shape. That's what we're going for. If you're not getting it, just knead it a bit more. That's going to essentially set off the gluten in your flour. It'll become a nice, beautiful dough like this. Then we want to make this into essentially 12 hot cross buns. So we're going to cut that mixture in half as best as you can, get it as even. Then I did a sausage and made that into 3 pieces and then cut those 3 pieces in half. That will make up our hot cross buns. Give them a nice little roll and make sure they're nice and round, and then pop them into your baking tray, or the tray you're going to bake these in. Obviously line up with baking paper. You want to cover this again and let it sit for at least around 15 minutes. That's going to let the yeast kick back in. Then we've got obviously our crosses. So this is just plain flour and water, and I'm slowly adding in the water so that I get less lumps and bumps. This just works for me. If you're confident enough to throw all the water in and get rid of the lumps, go for it. All up to you guys. Once you have got this nice and thin and it's a beautiful, beautiful ribbony texture like so, you want to add this to a Ziploc bag because we're going to pipe on our crosses. So yeah, just get a cup or a mug, pop your bag in, pour in your mixture, get all the air bubbles out, seal it, and then we've got to get our buns back, which have risen. As you can see, they are a bit bigger now, nice and plump. And then going to snip the tip of our bag and then pipe on our crosses. Now, there is no expert way of doing this. generally try and get those crosses as even and as possible so they look like crosses. Also, you want to make sure they're thick enough as well. Now we want to act this into a 200-degree preheated oven for at least 15 minutes for the first part of baking. So pop them in the oven, let them bake for that first 15 minutes at 200, then whack down the temperature to 180 and let them bake for another half an hour, so around 40-50 minutes. When they come out, they'll be lovely and golden. They've all sort of evened themselves out. This is just some apricot conserve or jam that I heated in the microwave with a little bit of water, and I'm going to glaze these while they're still hot. This will give them that lovely sheen that you get when you get a hot cross bun. How do you serve these? Well, I love to serve them with some butter while they're a little bit warm. I know butter's bad, but hey, you can put in butter, Nutella. Don't they look amazing? There you have it, guys. Hot cross buns.
Now, if you found my hot cross buns too much to resist and you want to see more of what I do here, right here on YouTube, you want to click the subscribe button. It is below you in red. Click it now. Click it, click it, click it. Just, I'm going to wait. Scroll. Click. There you go. Look at that. Now you are a subscriber. And if you like this video, don't forget to share, like, and favorite. We will see you next week for another video recipe. Bye, guys.